Chelsea. Many Chelsea fans join us on the show and give us their very frank and honest view about what they think of the season so far. At the moment, 7th, won 15 of 35 played. Pochettino, quite happy of late about what he's been seeing on the field of play. Where is your mind with Chelsea, Carl? I mean, when I think of Chelsea, I still think, probably wrongly, I should bring myself more up to date of people like Terry and Lampard and Drogba and what that place was like. I'm not sure what I think of Chelsea these days. What do you?
People hear me laugh. It's because I'm thinking. I don't know. I think that's after, but and we should know for £1 billion spent.
Yeah,
we should know what they are. I've heard there's a lot of unrest internally. You can clearly see that. It's very evident on the pitch. I do think, and I think I said this on the show before the season started, I think he is the right man for Chelsea. Mauricio, I really do. I think you're starting to see signs of what he likes to see in his team. And you know the one thing, Jim, for me, which I watched the game, with the penalty situation, it was live on TV, the game, and I think it was against Everton, wasn't it? I loved his answer about what a team work ethic looks like, what you should have to be successful. And it was almost like he was criticising the individuals within the dressing room, but in a very clever way. I think that was the moment that he almost stamped his approval on Chelsea Football Club to say, no, this is what it takes to play for us. Yeah, moving forward. And we spoke before Manchester United about players living in, obviously, the ghost of the past. These players today are certainly living in the ghost of the past, of the Terrys and the Lampards and the Drogbas. But for me, the young players that they have moving forward next season, and we did say this was going to be a difficult season, and I think I also said as well, I certainly think they will be competing again in the next 2 years at the top of the Premier League.
Oh, I know you think that, Simon, that eventually they will come super good. Yeah, I do. Funnily enough, co-owner Todd Boehly has been speaking at a thing in the US called the Sports Business Conference, and he says, yeah, we're happy enough. There are signs that things are coming together. Have a listen.
Exactly the way we drew it up, the number of shots we had on goal over those 2.5 games, you could really start to see what we were working on coming together. And the commentary has changed, over the last 2.5 games. I've never seen anything change so quickly.
Things are changing, says Todd.
Yeah, I don't know why Todd would feel the necessity to say the things he said there. Because
it's exactly as we drew it up, he says.
Yeah, that leaves you open to ridicule and all kinds of observations. We haven't heard a lot from him in the last year because the team hasn't been performing very well. Now the team has got a little bit more about it, which it has. It's getting better, and inevitably it's going to get better. And I still maintain that Chelsea will be successful in a reasonable period of time, despite what other people think. But I would have preferred Todd not to be saying things like this. Now, context is everything, nuance is everything. The framework of what he actually said in the overall picture may have made him put himself in that position. But I don't imagine there was any possibility that the owner sat in a room drawing up a position of how many shots they were going to have on goal and what it looked like. And I think it's rather silly for him to say that. But it's his football club, it's his money. He can say what he wants. And if he doesn't care about the characterisation of the plaid-wearing idiot American doesn't know what he's talking about, then continue saying these sort of things.
Well, I mean, the sort of things he says, we've seen the last 2.5 games. 2.5 games. Yeah. And at least in the second half at Aston Villa, which was a 2-2 draw, and at Tottenham a 2-0 win, and West Ham a 5-0 win, we just played beautiful football. It was so fluid. It was exactly the way we drew it up.
Well, that's what he wants. I mean, Chelsea have been at times in recent games, not all of them, obviously, but some of them, they have been a far better version of themselves. They are getting themselves together. They were very unlucky, against a very tired Man City. They were very unlucky in the FA Cup semi-final. Yeah. Deserved to win that game. Didn't. So Man City overcome it. The Real Madrid curse that they get themselves through games that perhaps their performance didn't merit. And I do think they're on the right direction. I don't think Mauricio Pochettino leads you to the promised land if the promised land is winning the Premier League. But I do think Mauricio Pochettino gets you to a side that can compete in the top 4 of the Premier League. And I think that they'll get there. They'll get the balance right. Clearly, the players that they bought, the balance they've got is wrong. They've got a lot of young players in there. John Terry described it the other day as kids. A lot of kids in there. Not enough senior pros in there. When they were there, when Terry was there, Cech, Terry, Drogba, Lampard, and the young kids hang off the balance of that. Right now, they've got a lot of young kids and not enough senior pros in there that are doing their jobs or are in the dressing room in the first place. They've got to get that balance right, and I'm assuming Pochettino will get that balance right this summer.
You don't think Boehly's clutching at straws here? You think, no, there are green shoots of recovery. We can see them.
Well, who's he clutching at straws with? And who does he have to justify himself to? It's his money.
He doesn't have to justify. Yeah, he's the owner, as you know. But I mean, the Chelsea fans have come into the equation. There's one who's sending a message right now. Make no mistake, Chelsea are a mid-table club, £1 billion failure. A couple of recent wins don't paper the cracks. No longer part of the big six.
I mean, that might be an Arsenal fan, all right? So that doesn't have any relevance to it. The fact of the matter is they're not going to finish mid-table. They're going to finish higher than that. They've been to a cup semi-final and a cup final. It's not great. It's not a great return on investment. But the owners aren't crying. The Chelsea fans have had a good period of time. Their last owner left them in a situation where he got himself booted out of Chelsea, banned from being involved in football, and left behind a legacy of payments that now the current owners have got to clear up because there've been a load of illicit payments made. And whilst I accept that Abramovich presided over a massive period of success for Chelsea, it's unarguable. You now have a football club that's going through a period where mistakes are being made. And the Chelsea fans will have to get on with it.
I don't think anybody in here is saying, "Oh, they've cracked it" because they've done okay in the last 2 games, and right now they are a mid-table Premier League team. I went to the final against Liverpool, and arguably they should have won that.
Yeah, I was there.
They missed many chances. You're right what you're saying. The semi-final against City, regardless of what City did before that, yeah, they probably should have got something out of that game as well. And would people's opinions been different? Yes. What he's just said there, the chairman, that does baffle me, because I think when you do win a few games of football, that is the time that you probably do go a little bit quiet as an owner. I think you do sit back and you understand the success is a long way down the road, and these are just very small building blocks into the success that he wants. I don't think he's got any. I know Simon's right. It is his money. He's got every right to say what he wants to say. But for me, I don't think that was needed.
Do you think he says different things to different audiences, or do people like Todd say different things? That's an American audience he's talking to there.
Yeah, we keep on picking up. The last time he said something was about the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And the context of that was far more expansive than what we actually represented it to be. And so when you look at it, and he's saying, I think we should get the North versus the South, it'd be great, right? Everyone goes, oh, you're an idiot? It doesn't work. But when you actually expand out what he was trying to say, which was how much broadcasters are paying for games in America that could be redistributed back to the EFL. So we could get a game that broadcasts and get $100 million, and there's a problem solved. Yeah. So it was lateral thinking, not the greatest of thinking, but it was lateral thinking. I think he's talking in America. I think he's talking to a different audience. I don't think he's talking to set of football journalists. I think he's talking to business.
It's just that when he briefed us here, as you know, out at the training ground pre-season, when it looked like he was going to speak to us in an interview form, but it ended up it was just a briefing. Yeah, it was like a sense of urgency that he was saying. It was kind of we're going to hit the ground running type theme. The very words were we're not here to screw around.
And everybody that buys a football club in an ideal world wants to hit the ground running. Yeah, and that will be their initial assessment. But when it comes to pass, that the industry is quite Machiavellian, quite difficult to deal with. Some of the people that you think are on side with you are the people that you're actually fighting against, and you learn your lessons. Now, I don't think you'll see Chelsea. I think you'll see them spending money, but I don't think you'll see Chelsea making the same mistakes they've made over the last couple of years. Everyone makes mistakes. Every single person in every walk of life makes mistakes.
The only way they get out of this trouble for me is sale of players to Saudi Arabia.
Maybe.
Like, they're gonna. I think what they will spend is the money that they recoup for some of the poor spending in recent transfer windows.
They've experienced. Yeah.
The one thing I want to go back to as well. I can't take Simon Sayers with that American Canadian accent. Where did that come from?
I like that. You go into that now and again.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.